All right, question for you. Should you believe the modern media and news? Do they tell the truth? So we're here, me and Zach, at this movie we just saw. It's actually called Truth with Robert Redford. What'd you give it, 1 out of 10?
I gave it a 2.
That's very generous of you. It wasn't a very good movie, but it kind of pissed me off to watch it. Here's why it pissed me off. I know because I deal with the press. My real question is, who's the investigative journalists that investigate the investigative journalists? Because this movie is the true story of Dan Rather, and was it ABC or CBS?
CBS.
CBS, you know, he actually resigned for this when they accused President Bush of of basically going AWOL from the Air Force in the 1970s.
National Guard.
National Guard, thank you. And it turned, this is why Zach's here, to make sure I don't get my facts wrong. But it turned out...
That's the only reason I'm here.
It's the only reason. It turned out that the documents were forged, but they had gone through this whole big deal trying to prove, you know, create a scandal. And the one interesting point of the book that's relevant is the news used to not be for profit. You used to not be allowed to make a profit on the news. So ABC, CBS, all the networks had to have news at a loss leader. And I wish it went back that way, because if you did that, we all know what Charlie Munger, the billionaire, says: humans respond to incentives. That's also, there's a great economics book by a guy named Mankiw. He's a professor, wrote for Harvard. I think Harvard uses his economic textbooks, and he says you can sum up everything about money, economics in one phrase: humans seek incentives. So the second you make the news incentive based in terms of profit, then they're gonna look for scandals. Look at TMZ. That's not real fucking news. I've been on TMZ a few times, but everybody's watching that, and I'm going, who's investigating TMZ? They're investigating everybody. I wish someone would flip the cameras around, not to pick on TMZ, but who's investigating, you know, all these political, you see all these commercials now. We got a election coming up, and I elect Zach to be the official investigative journalist.
I'd love to do it.
He's got the beard.
There was one scene I really did like. It's whenever the Kate Blanchett character, who was the producer and in the media, when the story broke, she had media outside of her house, and so the tables were turned.
And she didn't like it.
Yeah, she didn't like that. I thought that was really funny, because that's how it typically works. But it was that mindset of, don't judge me for my results, judge me for my intentions.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
How they try to present it.
Yeah,
such.
When I watch the news, I go, there's always another side of the story. Just like we went yesterday, had dinner with the LA Clippers, the starting 5, 4 of them were there. Chris Paul, we won't get into that. There was a point in his career where there was a little scandal, and we asked him point blank, and he explained it. And once you hear both sides of the story, it doesn't sound so scandalous. There's actually a good proverb which says, everybody's side sounds good till you hear the other side. And so now with the media, the news, all these bloggers, they bring up all this bullshit and no one investigates them back. So never believe something until never believe an investigative report unless you see somebody who first gutted and investigated that investigative report. I'm telling you, it changed the whole game. There's so many things. What?
Wasn't it Benjamin Franklin, and correct me if I'm wrong, that said, believe nothing of what you read and only half of what you hear?
Yeah, at most. So at the end of the day, some of the stuff you have to use logic. Like in this movie, the story is, did George Bush not try to go to Vietnam? And there's one scene in the movie where they're like, nobody wanted their kids to go to Vietnam. So is there a scandal there? I don't know. But at the end of the day, how I look at it is, there's scandals everywhere. If you stuck a camera up on your life, and every moment of your life was recorded, and then it was played back for 7.3 billion people, would you be ashamed of of anything? Hell yeah. Everybody, like Mark Twain says, everybody has a dark side. So we live in this world where everybody wants to find the dark side. That's why I say now, people are like, dude, Ty, do you have any dark side shit? I'm like, you know what? I'm going to purposely do dark-sided stuff so there's no damn scandal. Who was that?
Dark-sided.
Dark-sided. What's the guy? What's the favorite? Jack Nicholson. You know why Jack Nicholson never had a story? Because he was just like, I do blow, sleep with hookers. You couldn't have his story because he exposed himself first. So I think we should go a lot lighter on exposés and a lot more focus. For example, if you really want to focus something important, why don't they do investigative journalism, for example, on big problems? Like, they always talk about military spending is too high. Well, how about people being fat? That's a huge damn problem. That should be on the cover everywhere. So these investigative, objective journalists, my ass, they're like TMZ reporting on Kanye West and, you know, what Lamar Odom. That's not news, you know. And even ABC, I read the newspaper, half that shit is not important in there. 90% of it. Every once in a while it's important, but most of it's not important. Nobody wants to talk about the real big issues. Soil erosion, that's a big issue that nobody talks about. When's the last time you saw a report talking about soil erosion? No, because also reporters are constrained by how much knowledge they have, and a lot of them don't know that much stuff. They're relying on other people's interpretation, which is like playing telephone. You go telephone 5 times around, nobody's telling the truth. So,
and I don't think as a reporter you should be trying to change the world. I think you should report the news.
Yes, you know, it should change the world. I think it was Goethe, or one of those great philosophers, who said, "Let every man sweep his own front porch, and the whole world will be clean." That's a much better way. Everybody be their own little reporter. You know, focus on yourself, clean your own life out. Then write your scandal shit. The president has scandals, every one of them. Bill Clinton has scandal. Tiger Woods has scandal. Blah, blah, blah. And if you go deeper into everybody else's life, I bet you have one too. So, you know, I love that story in the Bible where Jesus Christ, they tried to trick him, and they were gonna throw stones at this woman, and they said, "We caught this woman in the very act of committing adultery. And what should we do, teacher?" And Jesus Christ said, "I'll tell you what we should do. Whoever here doesn't have sin, throw the first stone." And nobody threw the stone. And that's how I think reporting should be. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. What's an example of some news you've read that turned out to be bullshit later? I could tell you a lot of stories, but we've been on here a while. So
I think they should call the movie Whose Truth?
Yeah, Whose Truth? Or how about Not Truth? This movie should be called Not Truth, or Not a Good Movie.